You think you know pickup trucks. Big, strong, workhorses. But what if I told you there are pickup trucks so massive, so wild, you probably never heard of them? You won't believe what they did. Stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to take you through the biggest pickup trucks you didn't even know existed, and show you how they pushed the limits of size, power, and imagination. Let me start with a question. When you hear pickup truck, your mind probably goes to Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado, Ram 1500, right? But those are tiny compared to what we'll see. Today, we're diving into beasts. Monsters built for extremes, not for your grocery run. Some carried loads beyond what you can imagine. Some were built as statements, and some almost disappeared into legend. Let's roll back time. Our first stop, the International CXT. Many say this is the gateway into extreme pickup territory. Imagine a big commercial truck dressed like a pickup. The CXT was built by International, Navistar, and it looked like a heavy-duty semi, but it was sold as a truck you could drive on roads. It stretched over 22 feet in length. It weighed more than 14,000 pounds in curb weight. It had a gross vehicle weight rating, GVWR, of nearly 26,000 pounds. This wasn't a weekend toy. It needed serious licensing. Here's the backstory. International wanted to make something that bridged commercial and luxury. They took their medium-duty truck platform and grafted on a pickup-style bed and cabin. The idea was, what if someone wants a truck that hauls heavy but still looks like a pickup? What's crazy about it? It could carry huge loads, had monstrous torque, and yet it still had creature comforts. But it was never a high-volume seller. It was too big for many buyers' uses, too heavy for regular permits. Today you'll sometimes see one in exotic car truck collections. It's a rare beast. Its legacy? It expanded people's minds of what a pickup could be. Now hang on, because the next one is stranger. Let me take you to Brazil, where a small company called Tropical Cabins decided to build what many consider the largest pickup truck in the world, the Ford F-Max, or F-Max. They based it structurally on a commercial truck chassis, but made it into a pickup form with 6 doors, not counting the tailgate. It stretched about 24.6 feet long. It had huge 22-inch wheels, and inside the comfort and features were upscale. Only about 30 units were ever made. Why did they do it? In their market, trucks are tools and status symbols. Think, someone who wants to show they have one of the grandest vehicles on the road. F-Max pushed that idea. And because only a few exist, it's a collector's dream. Where is it today? Many of them are still on Brazilian roads or tucked away in private collections or truck shows. So from the CXT to the F-Max, you see the trend. More length, more doors, more presence. Really? But we're not done. Now we go much, much further back to something that may surprise you. Jump back to the 1950s in France. In remote places, mining, oil exploration, desert terrain, you needed trucks bigger than usual. Enter the Berliet T100. This was no pickup in the modern sense, but more like a colossal off-road truck, sometimes with a pickup bed. They built just a few. It had a 29.6-liter Cummins V12 engine, producing massive horsepower. Its purpose? To carry heavy loads off-road in extreme environments, like deserts. Here's some story. Engineers in post-war Europe were pushing boundaries. Berliet wanted to make a truck that could haul heavy machinery across sand, gravel, dunes, places no road existed. The T100 had 6 wheels, 6x6 designs, special steering systems, and a cab that sometimes slid forward to allow better control. It was so huge that steering was powered by a small auxiliary engine just for control. It wasn't practical for highways. It was meant for the wild. What made it special? The sheer audacity. It tested what was possible decades ago. It inspired designers to dream bigger for utility and off-road capability. Today you can find one on display in the Berliet Museum or in transportation museums in France. It stands as a testament to engineering ambition. Now I should warn you, the next one blurs the line between truck, monster, and art. Let me introduce Bigfoot, or at least the origin of Bigfoot. You probably know Bigfoot as a monster truck, but it started as a heavily modified pickup. The original was a 1974 Ford F-250, modified by Bob Chandler, evolving into the first monster truck. Over time, its scale exploded, eventually reaching 10-foot tires, a width of 20 feet, a weight of tens of thousands of pounds. The story is fun. Chandler was messing around with off-road use, pushing suspension, bigger wheels. At some show, they crushed cars to wow audiences. That sparked the monster truck craze. Bigfoot became a brand. The truck versions grew bigger and wilder. One version, Bigfoot 5, was declared the tallest, widest, heaviest with 10-foot tires. It became an icon in automotive culture. Today, Bigfoot trucks appear at shows, parades, competitions. They're not practical pickups. You can't use them for hauling your furniture. But they change the culture around what a truck could become. So by now you're realizing, these aren't your everyday pickups. They're extremes. Some for work, some for status, some for spectacle. We'll continue this journey. In the next part, I'll cover even bigger beasts, modern monsters, and wild one-of builds you've never seen. The next one is so out there, you'll think it came from a sci-fi movie. Now that you've seen some of the first giants, let's go deeper. Because the truth is, some of the biggest pickup trucks were built not just for strength, but for making statements so outrageous that they shocked the entire auto world. And trust me, the next few are going to make you question whether they were even real. Let's head to the United States again. Remember the Dodge Ram? You've probably seen the standard versions on highways, big and loud. But what if I told you Dodge secretly unleashed a monster called the Dodge Mega Cab Long Bed Dually? Imagine taking a standard heavy-duty Ram 3500 and then stretching it out, almost limo style, to create the largest mega cab pickup in history. The wheelbase was absurdly long. The turning radius was like trying to steer a ship, and yet it looked sleek in its own intimidating way. Truck fans were stunned because this wasn't a custom build. It was based on a real Dodge concept for extreme towing and passenger comfort. Why did it matter? It showed how far American manufacturers were willing to push trucks into super-size me territory. People wanted luxury and muscle, so Dodge delivered both in one frame. The result was overkill, but unforgettable. Even today, stretched mega cabs appear at shows, often customized with chrome stacks, huge wheels, and interiors that look more like executive lounges than work trucks. But hold up, if you thought Dodge went big, wait until you see what Ford did. Enter the Ford F-650 super truck. This wasn't just a pickup, it was closer to a commercial rig dressed up for consumer life. Ford designed the F-650 for industries, towing, and commercial use, but custom builders started turning them into pickup-style trucks that dwarfed anything else on the road. Imagine pulling up to a traffic light, and your truck's hood alone is taller than the roof of the car next to you. That's the F-650. It came with diesel engines that pumped out ridiculous torque numbers, towing capacities that made regular pickups cry, and customization options so wild you could get leather seating for 6 and a sound system that shook the pavement. The F-650 became a celebrity favorite. Rappers, athletes, even construction magnates bought them just to make an entrance. When you drove one, it wasn't about commuting, it was about saying, "I own the road." But the F-650 wasn't the end, because while Ford was busy making giant street-legal rigs, other inventors were thinking even crazier. Let me take you to Russia. In the frozen wilds of Siberia, engineers built a truck called the Avtoros Shaman 888. Technically, it's more of an off-road amphibious monster than a pickup, but you can fit a bed on it, and many owners do. What makes it insane? It has 8 wheels, each one powered, giving it traction on snow, ice, mud, even rivers. Yes, it can float and move across water. Inside, it seats up to 8 people in a cabin that looks like a military command post. Outside, it looks like something straight from a video game or a sci-fi action movie. The shaman's purpose wasn't showing off, it was survival. In remote Russian regions, you needed a vehicle that could go literally anywhere. No roads, no problem. Deep snow, just another day. Rivers, drive right in. The shaman blurred the line between utility and spectacle, and it became a legend on YouTube and social media because of its futuristic look and capabilities. Here's a fun fact. The steering system lets you do crab mode, where all 8 wheels turn sideways and the entire truck moves diagonally. That's right, it can slide like a crab across terrain. Tell me your everyday pickup can do that. But don't think Russia had the monopoly on weird giants. Let's talk about something you've probably never seen in person. The Toyota Mega Cruiser. Yes, Toyota, known for Hiluxes and Tacomas, once made an oversized pickup SUV that looked like Japan's answer to the American Humvee. Built mainly for the Japanese military in the 1990s, it was later released in tiny numbers for civilians. The mega cruiser was over 16 feet long, had full-time 4WD four-wheel steering, and massive ground clearance. In fact, it was so big, Japanese streets struggled to handle it. The civilian version came with luxuries like air conditioning and plush seating, but its sheer size made it a rare sight. Only around 3,000 were ever built. Why is it important? Because Toyota showed it could play in the giant truck game too. It was proof that even countries with narrow roads had an appetite for oversized, military-inspired trucks. Today, finding one outside Japan is like spotting a unicorn. Collectors will pay crazy money for one. Speaking of military inspiration, let's not forget the Hummer H1 Alpha pickup. Before the H2 and H3 versions hit the mall parking lots, the H1 Alpha was the closest you could get to owning a civilian military Humvee. Its pickup variant had an open bed, ridiculous off-road angles, and the durability of a tank. The Alpha version packed a turbo diesel engine that gave it far more usable power than the earlier H1s. What's fascinating is how it blurred the line between civilian lifestyle and battlefield toughness. Celebrities loved them, soldiers respected them, and environmentalists hated them. The H1 pickup was so wide it sometimes took up more than one lane. Driving one wasn't just transportation, it was a statement that said, "I'll get anywhere, whether the road exists or not." So by now, we've seen stretched American beasts, survivalist Russian monsters, rare Japanese giants, and military icons. And you might think, that's as big as it gets. But no, the biggest surprise is yet to come. Because there are pickup trucks that were so oversized, they looked almost cartoonish. And in the next part, I'll reveal the ones that were built more as legends, one-offs, and experiments. Trucks so big they stopped being practical and became myths. Stick around because the next one is so rare you'll barely believe it was ever made.